play with me. I'm going to do a video on play today. This should help you. Let's go. Implementing new styles of play will help his relationship with you a lot, because we're going to revolve play around both of you instead of just around him. And I think you'll find that that's a really common trend in my training too. It's like, if you want your relationship to be stronger, then you're going to want to do things together and ask things of him so that you guys are doing them together, instead of doing them solely for him as if you're spoiling him, but really he feels alone and we're just adding a bunch of unnecessary adrenaline and prey drive to his life. So this guy is still having issues going to the bathroom. I mean, even pee is obnoxious. It takes him, most of the day to just go to the bathroom once or twice. So he might have to stop in the middle of this and go to the bathroom or something, because he hasn't gone to the bathroom yet today, and it's already 10:30. All right, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is put him on place to start this training, or this play session. Come, play. And I am going to do two different activities. One, I'm going to do the fetch thing for you so you can see how you can help your relationship by breaking it down differently. And then I'm going to do flirt pole, which is something I've been doing with him that he actually likes, in my opinion, more than fetch. But I don't let him go crazy at fetch, so that's probably why it's not as big of a deal, because it's not this crazed, I can't even get the ball from you unless I have another ball mentality, right? So first thing I do is I'm going to put him on place and I'm going to present the toy. And I know that Dave had mentioned that he can hold the ball out and he knows he's looking at me or at you. But when I hold the ball out like this, Cesar doesn't even know I'm here. He only looks at the ball. So unless you're magically getting a different response than I am, I have not seen anything but fixation on the ball. So you really want to assess whether a dog is actually looking at you, is you hold the ball away from your eyes and you wait for eye contact. That's the way you know they're looking at you. Eye contact, not ball fixation. So I can rarely ever get him to look at me if I do this. I have to tell him to leave it because he's so obsessed with it. So these are beginnings of toxic feelings towards the ball too, because it doesn't pertain to a human at all. It's just a ball that continues to be rotated in a high adrenaline, high prey drive state. So instead of making this ball crack cocaine or tons of sugar, let's make it something a lot more productive, where they're playful but it's not actually hurting the chemical upload in their body or your relationship, because it's doing both. What you both had been using to play with him with the ball is, in my opinion, my professional opinion, is it was toxic and it wasn't benefiting him at all. So what I like to do is test him, because what I'm going to ask him to do is stay on this place board. So I'm going to act like I'm throwing it, place, and you see he breaks. Sit. I'm going to act like I'm throwing it and see what he does. I don't know if the ball is going to stay in the camera angle, but try not to throw it out too far because I want you to be able to see it. So now the ball is out there and he stayed, which is great, but he's still not paying any attention to me. There we go. See that attentiveness? So I'm going to throw the ball and make him stay, and then he has to engage with me for permission. Get it. Good boy. Good boy. Place. Now we have an actual retrieve, because place. He's going, coming from the same spot to go retrieve it and then going right back to it to give it to me. So, before you had to manipulate him because he wasn't going to give you the ball and he wasn't going to retrieve it for you. You had to have the other ball. This way, he's actually retrieving it, and it's so much easier to get the ball from him. Now I've taught him an out command and a leave it command. So out means drop it from your mouth, and leave it means just don't put it in your mouth at all, or don't stare at it, or don't fixate at it, leave it alone. I don't know if those are your commands. Those are the ones I've taught him. So like right now, leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it. Trying to get that fixation to go away. Leave it. No, no. Now out means drop it from your mouth. So if you're gonna struggle with some of these things at first, because he's gonna expect the same old when he comes home. And so if you want to take my professional advice and create play that's more productive for both of you, you should be able to say out and him drop it for you. Now, the beautiful part about this is it doesn't look as intense, but it's better on the body, because you're still getting a retrieve and you're still getting them to run and play, but you're not doing it to the point where they're prone to hurt themselves and build so much adrenaline up in their system that they can't actually feel that they've hurt themselves. This is also more stimulating in the sense that we're creating rules, boundaries, and limitations. So there's actual mindfulness that goes into this activity instead of mindlessness, which is what he was doing previous. There's no challenge in that. He doesn't even have to drop the ball for you. All he has to do is exchange it. So there's no thought, it's just rampant excitement, basically. So this is different because it's gonna create eye contact, checking in, permission, impulse control. We're gonna be able to switch the drives, which is an important part of training. And then eventually, which I'm gonna show you more with the flirt pole, we're gonna be able to teach him how to calm himself down faster, because he can get himself quite worked up with you guys sometimes. So now I'm gonna repeat this, fake. I'm faking him a lot because he anticipates so much that I want him to be more patient and not so anticipatory, right? So I threw it, I'm gonna wait for eye contact. Go get it! Good boy, go get it! Good. Place. Now right now I'm using a line, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm in my field. So there's no fence. But even in a fence, I would probably encourage you to do this on a line the first handful of times, because off leash, he has a tendency to go back to old ways, and so this will actually get the format the way you want it to look. So when he is finally off leash, it'll go smoother. Out. Leave it. Just testing his resource guarding. Some dogs, when it's in between their legs, I go to reach for it, they kind of look at me, my hand, like they want to bite it. I'm not saying he does. I always test that when I'm working with dogs. How much of this is fun and how much of this is you claiming a resource, because that is a dog thing, Well, it's a human thing too. People claim resources. So I'm not seeing big resource guarding from him, which is good. He's pretty cool about giving me the ball. Now look how chill he is. So you think about what fetch was doing to him previous to the board and train and what it's doing to him now. This is still fun, but he can also turn off and he can turn on and he can listen and he can get excited, but then he can calm back down, versus batshit crazy adrenaline. It looks like fun, but it's just insanity. And we don't even have access to his brain. We have to bribe him in order to alternate toys to get him to listen, right? So a bit different. This is more productive. This will help your relationship more, and like I said earlier, his body. His body will benefit from this style of play much more than what you were providing previously. Good boy! Good boy! you can throw it a lot further. I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying to keep it in the camera. And because I am, place. Oh. So what I did there when I outed him is put my hand on the ball like this, but I didn't start yanking on it. I just held it. Just held my fingers around it. And I said out, and I tapped the e-collar over and over and over again until he gave me the ball. So I don't pull, tug, and yank to get things away from dogs. What I want is the dog to give it to me and then remove their mouth from it and their head from it so that we're not competing and they're just giving it to me instead of me fighting for it. And then that fight makes them want it more. So they'll start, if I start yanking and pulling on a ball, their natural tendency is going to try to continue to follow it and go after it. So then we start raising it up high and over to the side and we're trying to block it, but that's not really psychological control, that's just physically controlling something. So by getting a release that he does, he gives it to me and he removes his head from it and I don't have to sit there and fight it, I have more psychological control over the dog. So, and it's also a hell of a lot more respectful. So that's another thing you might consider doing when he has anything from a ball to a toy to a bone, is if you're trying to get it from him, you know, out, leave it. You could even move him away from the resource and say, let's go and put him on place. But don't ever take it from him and then create more frustration in him by doing these kind of things to get him to stop trying to go for it, because that's not him actually stopping, that's just you know, trying to hide the ball from them or the toy or whatever. So typically, I'm kind of breaking this down differently in this video since I'm talking on the camera, but basically when I do fetch, I'll do 3 throws, much faster than this, much more back to back to back. Same rules. So the rules are, you're gonna stay on place, I'm gonna throw the ball, you're not gonna go get it. I love how this video is timed with the tree trimmer. I hope that's not too distracting for you guys. So you're gonna stay on place while I throw the ball and you're gonna look in my eyes for permission to go get the ball. Now when I see that he's looking in my eyes and he's not trying to bound off place and anticipate everything, then I'll release him to go get the ball. So I say, okay, go get it. And this is when I'm gonna add a little bit of excitement. Okay, go get it, go get it, go get it. And he goes to get it, and then I'm gonna say, okay, come, Cesar, come with the ball, place. Out or leave it in order to get the ball, and then I do it again. So those are the rules, right? Those are the rules and boundaries of place and playing fetch. Then I'm gonna do 3 throws in a row. And then after I get the 3 throws in, I'm just gonna say, let's go, and start moving him around. And this is just reinstilling that pack drive mentality that I've talked to you so much about. So, you know, you can do about 60 seconds of this. I would just make sure that he's grouped up with you, you know, and he's actually in pack drive before you put him on place and start playing fetch again. So, right now, I'm not really having to give him direction or any e-collar or any leash because he's staying right with me real nicely, so I can put him back on place. Place? If I do this and he starts shooting out trying to look for the ball, then you need to continue to do long line work. If he keeps shooting out for the ball, you need to continue to do long line work until he's calmed all the way down about it before you start the activity again. So now you have the rules for the fetch part, and then we're gonna break it up every 3 throws, and you're gonna end on what I just did walking him around. So it's gonna be like fetch, long line work, fetch, long line work, fetch, long line work, and you're gonna end on long line work. And that's how I format fetch. This is the most productive way to do it. This is the most relationship building way to do it, and it's good for both of you. The whole point is to end on calm so he understands that there's an off switch. We are done playing. That's the key, right? Right now, he doesn't, at home, he doesn't have an off switch. He doesn't have a, I need to be patient. It's just go, go, go. I can't even drop the ball. I'm so worked up, you know? So this is gonna create the off switch that you guys are looking for. So that's my fetch spiel. And I'm hoping I'm not yelling too loud into the camera, but I'm feeling like I'm fighting with this frickin' tree trimmer and it's driving me nuts. I'm a little reactive when it comes to loud noises. I'm like one of those dogs that likes to nip at loud car tires. Sorry, we like to draw comparisons to what we would be like if we were a dog. Just kind of a joke. Okay, so that's my fetch spiel. Now I'm gonna throw in some flirt pole. He loves flirt pole. He loves it. So I've got a stick, a rope, and a toy. Same rules apply. He's got to stay on place until I give him permission to go and get it. But there's a different component to this, which you can use this component for fetch as well, but I like to use it more for like when I'm playing tug or flirt pole, and that's contrast building. So anything that gets a dog to a level 10 of excitement, I like to operate a technique called contrast building because it teaches the dog to self-soothe. So most dogs have a really hard time calming themselves down. Cesar's actually much better than the average dog naturally. This is what actually sets him apart from most dogs, is that even when he gets worked up, I don't particularly feel like he wants to get worked up all that much. I don't think that's his nature, and so he's more inclined to naturally calm himself back down. Super amazing. This is also what makes him stoic. But now that I've seen the relationship dynamics and I see what Dave brings out in Cesar, this is going to be an important part of the puzzle because Dave's presence makes Cesar crazy. So by doing this activity, you're going to be building in a different type of mentality around him, which is that you're going to start asking for calm. And you're going to start asking him to self-soothe around your presence. And that's going to make you more relevant. It's going to make him feel better about you. He's going to be less worked up when he's around you. And maybe that's not what you want, you know? But if you want him to be like how he was at the midweek, and that's something that you want to be a norm, he's always going to struggle listening to you because he's actually mirroring the fact that you make him feel kind of worked up and crazy, and dogs can't follow that. They can't follow anything that makes them feel that way. They want to follow stability. They want to follow security. They want to follow calmness and neutrality. That's what dogs want to follow. That's what dogs in nature would follow. So this activity is going to be a lot about maintaining this wonderful ability to self-soothe when he gets worked up. This will also start translating into things like the front door. He gets worked up about the front door. So we can utilize play to teach him, hey, when you go to a 10, you can bring yourself back down. You can calm yourself back down. And I'm using play to influence that. At the same time, using play to influence that, over time, it actually starting to affect other aspects of his life. It's also going to help his view of you. So he's going to start to see you differently when you spend time asking and waiting for calm. He'll start appreciating you more, listening to you better, and not getting so worked up around your presence. All right, so now I got the flirt pole out. Now we're gonna have dump trucks coming up and down the hill, so I apologize for all the racket. I'm gonna wait for eye contact. I have a rule with him. He can't bite the pole. I don't want him biting the pole. He doesn't like sometimes that I'm having control over this toy, and so he'll just try to put his mouth on the pole as close to my hand as possible. So I will correct that however I need to make him understand that that's not what we do. We're chasing a toy, not my hand or the pole. So I'm gonna wait for him to look at me. Say, get it. And I'm just gonna basically get him to follow this toy. Yeah, good boy. Go get it. Good. Now he has to get it. So as you see how I'm kind of playing with him, so I'm mimicking him chasing a prey animal. This is a prey drive activity. This fulfills their prey drive tendencies, right? And I'm letting him chase it. Good. Now he has to chase the toy. He can't start biting at the pole. So sometimes you have to get the toy where it's just a foot away from their mouth in order for them to continue to chase it. Because if you get too wild with the spins and the toy gets too far away from the dog, they're going to start getting frustrated and cutting corners and trying to figure out how to grab things like the leash or the pole that you're holding onto instead of the toy itself. So that's kind of, you got to kind of get them closer to the toy and see if you can't keep it in that range so that they stay on it. Good boy. So then sometimes I'll play tug with him. He's already let go. He's tired already. And sometimes I'll play tug with him afterwards and be like, yeah. Right? And then I say, out, leave it. Come here. Place. And we're going to do it again. Now, when I'm doing something as exhilarating as this is more exhilarating than fetch, at least my version of fetch. Your version of fetch is like 10 times more crazy than this. But this is a high intensity activity. This is one of the most adrenalizing activities I'll do with the dog, and aside from hiking. And because it gets them so worked up, I want to put him on place and really spend some time in between my flirt pole waiting for this guy to calm down on his own. So I'm not going to do a sit and a down right now. I'm actually going to sit here and wait for him to put himself in a calmer state of mind. You see him standing like this, and all of his weight is bearing forward towards the toy. It's his mind saying, I want more, I'm not done yet. So if I wait for this brain to sit back and relax, then I am getting more of an off switch. I'm getting a calmer dog place. And this idea of self-soothing, like I said, is super beneficial for the dog's brain and ends up translating into other aspects of their life down the road. So I have seen this activity help dogs that are really, really worked up. He's not a super worked up guy, but I've seen him capable of it in your presence. So again, this will help your relationship. Good boy. But I've seen so many dogs that take much longer to calm down than him, you know? And it's super fascinating how it translates into real life situations. You know, even with dogs who are lunging and barking at the end of the line, an activity like this would help coincide with the reactivity, because reactivity makes them feel so heightened that this play activity is actually training their brain that they can calm themselves down faster after they feel that way. You know, dogs learn through play, so it makes a lot of sense that it would translate that way. It's really fascinating stuff, and I've seen this translate in ways that are pretty phenomenal. So now that he's sitting, and of course he's got a really nice sit, he's not as calm as I'd probably like. He's got an erection right now, but you know, for video purposes, I think it's okay to do one more. And I'm just gonna do one more because we've been going for a while, and I can actually tell that he's tired. So that's the other crazy thing is, you know, that fetch thing game didn't make them all that tired. Like this type of stuff, in 20 minutes, they're worn out. Like for a couple hours, worn out. And it's because we're fulfilling their prey drive, but we're actually asking for a lot of other things. You know, off switches, obedience, rules, boundaries, limitations. We're asking them to switch their drives frequently. And so there's a lot more mindfulness going on, which adds to more fatigue, you know. The more you wear the brain out, the more tired they'll become. The more you focus on wearing the body out, the more stamina they'll gain. Once you have the mind trained and they understand how to be in pack drive and you have great influence over them and they have an off switch, when the mind and body come together for exercise, you get a full body workout. Suddenly, physical activities are more exhausting because the brain is engaged. It's pretty fascinating. And that's why I spend so much of my time with board and trains focusing on their brain and not running them until they're exhausted. Because I don't want to build stamina for prey drive and adrenaline. What I need to do is get the brain sorted out so that when I add my physical exercise in high amounts back into their life, I have the brain and body working together so we get much more contentment, relaxation, and fatigue from each activity that I provide. All right, so I'm gonna get eye contact, so get it. Good boy. Good boy. Get it. Get it. Oh, you're gonna tear it apart. You're gonna tear it apart. Good boy. Good. Oh. Good job. Leave it. Place. So that's the last floor pull I'm going to do with him, and now I'm going to wait for a lot more calm than the last time, so we can end on a really, really good note. It's good. It's already 26 minutes. So, you know, the fetch format is different than the flirt pull format, although they're similar. They're similar, but whether you're going to do flirt, I don't know if you like flirt pull, I don't know if that interests you. Probably not the best for his body, but in short stints, it's not, you know, he's young, so if you're wanting to do some more exciting stuff with him in short bits, this could be an option. But if you're going to be doing flirt pull, or if he likes tug of war with you, this is how it's going to be formatted. Place, present the toy, get eye contact, release him, you know, either tug or chase or whatever, you know, whatever play you're doing. And then, you know, let him have his moment, and then you're gonna say out, and then if he tries to go back for it, leave it. Let's go over to your place board, place, and then calm down, self-soothing. So if I was doing tug, it would be the same format, it's just I'd be doing tug of war instead of flirt pull. But those two things look the same in terms of format and also expectations and what I'm going to ask from him in the end. So this is going to give you an opportunity to still have a lot of fun with this guy. And it might not seem as exhilarating as maybe you were hoping, but I think once you see the impacts it has on his overall state of mind and his feelings about you, and also having this level of engagement where you're working together and it's not just running his ass off without him even really noticing that you're there, I think you'll find that connection will build stronger too for you. So look at how calm he is now. We got a hold down out of him and I didn't say anything. So this is like how when the self-soothing process is really working out the way I want it to look. This is calm. So this is what I'm going to encourage you guys to do if you're wanting to play with him. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please write down any questions you might have. I'm definitely not going to have any time to go over these activities at the go home. So I would encourage you to watch this video maybe even a couple times so that you really know what to do with him, because I do think his obsession with the ball, was great enough that you guys might struggle with these activities. You know, they might not be the easiest at the beginning for you, and so it's going to be more important that you understand the rules and boundaries and limitations and understand what you're asking of him when you're doing these activities, so you don't make it counterproductive and actually hinder your relationship more than help it. So I hope you liked.